Our final guest, we're again absolutely delighted to have here, very fortunate to have here. He's Peter Kenyon from Oz, Australia. He's incredibly well known as a social entrepreneur and community enthusiast. He's incredibly well known here in Canada. He spent the last 10 days in other parts of the country. When they heard he was coming to Nova Scotia, people grabbed him. And there's even people who have driven up from Halifax tonight, I think, to see him. He's worked with over 1,000 communities throughout Australia and internationally, seeking to facilitate fresh and creative ways to stimulate community and economic renewal. He's motivated by a desire to create healthy, caring, inclusive, sustainable, and enterprising communities and local economies. He has a background, as Jody has pointed out, as a youth worker, teacher, youth education officer, and tertiary lecturer. His employment experiences have included Director of Employment in Western Australia, Manager of the Community Employment Development Unit in New Zealand, and coordinator of the Natal KwaZulu Job Creation and Enterprise Strategy in South Africa. What I'm most excited to hear about is something that I've been reading about, is the creation of the Bank of Ideas. IDEAS being an acronym that stands for Initiatives for the Development of Enterprising Action and Strategies in 1991. And that creation has led to a lot of people wanting to hear what he has to say in many countries. In fact, he's worked as a consultant in more than 52 countries since 91. Since 2004, he spent a part of each year working in a range of Middle Eastern and North African countries, assisting with the development of national youth policies and strategies. He's authored 16 publications within the fields of community and economic development, youth policy development, and youth enterprise. Please join me in welcoming Peter Kenyon.
Thanks, Good, for that very positive introduction. I can hardly wait to hear myself speak after that occasion. Can I just begin by saying good evening, bonsoir, and good day. Everyone should know one word or bit of language from every race, and we in Australia say good day. So can we just practice that? Good day. No. You say it like the Poms. Just say good day, drag it out. Good day. You know, one bit of Aussie. Okay, one bit of Oz. Can I say I have learnt two things in Canada. Firstly, all the road signs say the maximum speed is 100 kilometres. No one ever drives 100 kilometres here. Everyone knows it really is meant 120 kilometres. And secondly, when they say that you can speak for 15 minutes, everyone knows it doesn't mean... It's somewhere between 35 minutes and 55 minutes. But I can say that I have been in a worse situation. I was in a conference in South Africa, and they invited the Minister for Economic Development to open it. And they said to him, you've got 10 minutes to paint some themes. We're 2 hours, 35 minutes later, the Minister is still winding on. His wife in the front row was trying to give him the evil sign to kind of like get him to shut up, the evil eye. He went on and on. But to give this guy credit, he eventually realised what he did. And I'll never forget, he looked at his watch and said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm awfully sorry, but my watch has stopped. But what was worse, someone in the back row yelled up, there was a bloody calendar on the wall. So anyway, I know that a number of us are very keen to get to the pub and whatever, but can I just say I'm from this place called Australia. It's a place of amazing landscapes, and above all, we happen to be honoured to live in a country of the oldest kind of like continuous culture on the face of the earth, and that is our Indigenous people. And some of those nations, and it's 300 different nations, when the colonists turned up, it was an incredibly established set of nations, and some of those dated back 60,000 years. So we're very privileged to live in a very rich culture. My passion is simply how do we create healthy, kind of like connected, inclusive, kind of like communities and local economies. It's what motivates me, it's what excites me, and it's why I'm particularly excited about this thing called asset-based community development, because it actually helps to give me a framework and helps me understand it. And I want to very quickly, in my 15 minutes, to very quickly kind of like point out some of the things, and really it's very much going to reiterate. I've got an Irish background and we have a very simple formula for giving a speech. First tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you've told them. And so tonight I'm just going to reiterate. But look, the starting point, and this is why the citizen-driven stuff is so important, is that meaningful and lasting change only originates from within. And it seems to me that so much of what we call development is professionals and government agencies and international groups doing things to community. My great friend here in Canada, Harold Fleming from the Ontario Rural Council, put it so well when he said, the wisdom of the community always exceeds the knowledge of the experts. And if I have to have a quote that is my favourite, it would have to be that. It's something that I, every day, have to remember. And that is simply the people that live in these communities, know these communities, understand these communities far better than I will ever be able to do. My job is to open doors and windows where that knowledge can actually come out, but the knowledge very much rests there. The second thing that I'm aware of, though, is that certainly within the Australian context, most of our communities are made up of spectators. We are made up of inhabitants and residents who have given up involvement in the community, and certainly a challenge is how do we get that broad-based community going. I actually think that we run most of our communities like we play football, where 40,000 people who need the exercise turn up to watch 36 players who don't. And it seems to me that's the challenge. How do we start to get it? You know, same old faces at the meeting ain't good community development. And it seems to me, how do we start to embrace very much everyone in the community? The second thing that we really have learned is that community residents act responsibly when they care, when we discover what is it that people can care about. And I think it's about trying to explore that. And they very much do support what they create. Engaging them right at the start, finding those pressure points of care within the community, I think is incredibly powerful. Margaret Wheatley puts it so well, there's no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. And I believe a lot of what community development is trying to find that point. What is it that we as a community really do care about? And begin to start with that particular point. The third thing is that effective, kind of like ABCD, understands that kind of like social connectedness and building relationships are really the most important parts of community development. It is about bringing people into relationships. It is about connecting people. And I love this African proverb. I'm currently doing a lot of work in Somalia, and someone shared that with me, and I love it. If you want to go faster, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. Isn't that powerful? I just love it. It's a magnificent one. That whole thing, that when we can start to get people holding hands and starting to work together, that's the way we need to go. The fourth thing, and Jodie has just so well articulated that tonight, communities have never been built on dwelling on their deficiencies. We've got to focus on resources, capacity, strengths and aspirations of the community and its residents instead of the needs, deficiencies and problems. It's at the heart. That great analogy of the half full, half empty. And people get that. You know, when you hold it up, you know, is the glass half full or half empty? Well, it's both. But you can't do much with the top bit. It's that bottom bit. And people can really get that and start to work on it. Now that is an Australian town entry sign. That is what I'd call a deficiency-focused community. I mean, this is a dying community. This community has halved its population in the last 10 years. Why would you put up a sign like that? We have 2 cemeteries but no hospital, you know. Now, that's the extreme example of what we call a deficiency need-focused kind of like community.